If you can't find the assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the Bible, go to the Quran. If you can't find the assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the Bible, please go to the Quran. According to Cardinal Francis Arinze, in an article he wrote that was published in Pontifical Missionary Union, Omnis Terra, in the year 2002. The title of that article is The Blessed Virgin Mary as a Sign for Believers in the Third Millennium. In that write-up, His Eminence, Cardinal Francis Arinze, wrote, among other things, Islamic belief is based on the text of the Quran, amplified by oral traditions from Muhammad. The Quran refers 34 times to Mary, the only woman mentioned by name in the book. One of the surahs, that's chapters of the Quran, is named after her. The Quran mentions the nativity of Mary in Quran chapter 3, verses 33 to 37. Her presentation in the temple, chapter 19, verses 16 to 17. You can as well get it in chapter 3, verse 37. Then, Annunciation. The Quran mentions the Annunciation in chapter 19, verses 17 to 21. Also in chapter 3, verses 45 to 51. The Quran mentions the virginity of Mary in chapter 19, verse 20, and chapter 21, verse 91. Also in chapter 66, verse 12. The Quran mentions the birth of Jesus Christ in chapter 19, verses 23 to 26, and perhaps her assumption into heaven in chapter 23, verse 50. So Mary's preeminence in the Quran may be summed up in the verse which records Gabriel's salutation to Mary in the Gospel of Luke. Mary, God has chosen you, He made you pure, and exalted you above all women of the universe. That's Mariam. God has chosen you, He has made you pure, and exalted you above all women of the universe. Quran chapter 3, verse 42. So Mary is held up as a sign in Quran chapter 23, verse 50, and a model too in chapter 66, verses 10 to 12 for humankind. So Mary is both a sign and a model for humankind, as we read in the Quran. So the Quran mentions that Mary was especially chosen by God. In chapter 3, verse 42, she was made pure and is a saintly woman. In chapter 5, verse 75, the Quran calls her a saintly woman and calls her a mother of faith in God in chapter 66, verse 12. So, my dear friends, from these Quranic references to Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ, we can take off from there to explain that if you can't find the assumption of the Virgin Mary in the Bible, please go to the Quran. In the homilies for our time, a compendium of selected sermons of Reverend Father John Aniagwo, edited by Charles Oganwa and Austin Oganwa, which was published in 1997. There, the issue of Mary in Islam can be better understood from the experience of Monsignor John Aniagwo, as narrated in that compendium of his selected homilies. He said that one Friday, he was glancing through the Guardian newspaper and came to a page captioned Friday Worship. It carried the title Mariam, Dedicated Mother. He was interested and read the article. He began with a quotation from the Quran, chapter 3, verses 36 to 38. And that quotation contained, among other things, the following statement: Mariam, Allah has chosen you and purified you, and selected you above all women of the time. So he had to look again to make sure that the statement was taken from the Quran and not from the Bible. He went further to read the article and then found a place where it said that Allah had marked out Mariam for a special destiny as the mother of a spiritual miracle child. The article went on to explain that Mariam was the female whose lot it was to be the mother of the wonderful son, the holy and noble prophet of Allah, Isa. Mariam is the Arabic name for Mary, while Isa is the Arabic name for Jesus. He asked himself if the writer of the article was a Muslim scholar or a Christian theologian. Surprisingly, the article was written by a Muslim with the name Muhammad Mba. He advised that if the Quran and Muslims have such things to say about Mary, we should not be saying silly things. In fact, next time you hear someone, a Pentecostal or even a Catholic, saying silly things about Mary, please do not refer them to the Bible. Tell them to go and read the Quran. That's why on the issue of assumption of Blessed Virgin Mary in heaven, I say and I repeat, if you can't find it in the Bible, please go to the Quran. Why am I recommending the Quran if the Bible does not satisfy you on the issue of assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in heaven? If you read the Quran, Surah Al-Mu'minun, that is Quran chapter 23, from verses 33 to 50, you will understand precisely verse 49 and verse 50. These particular verses is well explained. If you read, you can Google it, islamicstudies.info/tafhem.net, towards understanding the Quran. So in Quran chapter 23 verse 49 is written, "And we gave Moses the book that people might be guided by it." In Quran chapter 23 verse 50, "And we made Mary's son and his mother a sign, and we gave them refuge on a lofty ground, a peaceful site with springs flowing in it." Now, from that article towards understanding the Quran, you discover that the explanation there is that the wedding "we made the son of Mary and his mother a sign" is very significant, because it means that neither the son of Mary nor his mother was each a separate sign, but both of them together were a sign. This verse is a clear proof that a son was born to Mary without cohabitation with a man, and that Jesus, therefore, had no biological father. So, my dear friends, if the son of Mary, if neither the son of Mary nor his mother was each a separate sign, but both of them together were a sign, as the Quran tells us, how could you imagine that Jesus himself ascended into heaven? And ascending into heaven will allow the mother to taste corruption of death. And why should we doubt the possibility of assumption of Mary into heaven? We believe and we accept vividly well that nothing is impossible for God, and Jesus himself is God. In the Old Testament of the Bible, Enoch ascended into heaven, and Elijah was also taken up into heaven. Elijah ascended into heaven too. So we read the ascension of Elijah into heaven and that of Enoch. Then in the New Testament, Jesus himself ascended into heaven. So how could it be very impossible for the mother of Jesus Christ to be assumed into heaven, body and soul? Our focus is more on the Quran. So let's recall that on 14th June 2017 in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, pardon my pronunciation if I don't get it, decided to rename the mosque to Mary, the mother of Jesus, to Mary, the mother of Jesus Mosque. So, in that experience, there is a reason why he did that. Imagine a mosque being renamed Mariam Eyasa, Mary, the mother of Jesus Mosque. So, it's very interesting to see how the Muslims and even the Quran honor Mary. Mary or Mariam is revered in Islam as the mother of Jesus Christ. She is mentioned in the Quran 34 times, while Jesus, Isa, is mentioned 25 times. According to Reverend Elias D. Malon, Our Lady plays an important role in Islam. She is the Virgin Mother of Jesus, although with no connotation of the incarnation as understood by Christians. She is the one who hears God's word and believes it. And in the Quran, she is the focus of chapter 19. In fact, two women play a major role in Islam. The first is Fatima, the daughter of the Prophet Muhammad and the wife of Ali bin Abi Talib. The second is Mary, the mother of Jesus. So he said that while it is common among Shiites to have mosques bearing the name of Fatima, to my knowledge, this mosque in Abu Dhabi is the first to be named after the Virgin Mary. I want us to learn something from the table shaker Reno Omokri, while he was replying those who were criticizing Muslims in Nigeria because a mosque is named after Mary, the mother of Jesus, in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. He made very interesting observations and comments. He said, those asking Nigerian Muslims to learn from Dubai are actually the ones who should learn from Nigerian Muslims. According to him, that the most Islamic state in Nigeria is Sokoto, and one of the most common names in that state of Islamic Caliphate is actually the name of Christ. Isa is not a Hausa name. He said Isa or Yasa is the Arabic version of Yeshua in Hebrew and Jesus in Greek. The name is so revered that in Sokoto, Sokoto State, a local government area is named after him. Isa local government area, Sokoto State. So as a matter of fact, Reno Omokri says, you cannot be a true Muslim if you do not believe that God sent Christ. So Jesus Christ mentioned by name in the Quran is mentioned by name in the Quran more times than anybody except Prophet Muhammad and his mother Maryam, of whom the Dubai Mosque is named. She is the only woman mentioned by name in the Quran. Other women were mentioned but not by name. So Reno Omokri says, if Quran mentions Maryam, why is it surprising that a mosque is adorned with her name? Christ himself is described in the Quran as Masihu Isa, Yeshua the Messiah. The Quran calls Jesus the Messiah. In Quran chapter 4, verse 157 and 4, verse 171. All these things we are talking about Mary, the mother of Jesus, from the Quran, not from the Bible now. What does it tell you? That the teachings of the Catholic Church about the Blessed Virgin Mary, and particularly as we celebrate this year's Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary into heaven, is very, very valid in spiritual world, very valid in religious world, and very, very adrem. So why not give honor to whom honor is given? Why should you expect Jesus to allow her mother to taste corruption of death? No, that cannot happen. God bless you immensely as you listen to this message. And then move to the Quran if you can find Assumption of Mary in the Bible. If you are not satisfied with the Bible about the Blessed Virgin Mary, please move to the Quran. We will make a second video that we are going to explain Assumption of Mary, how possible and how reasonable. So follow up in the next video, Assumption of Mary, Blessed Virgin Mary in heaven, how possible and how reasonable. God bless you.